Awesome viewers, welcome back to my channel, Rennie Murimis World. This channel is about fashion, vlogs, relationship matters, and also some stories in my life. Today I want to tell you about the carjack story that happened to me sometimes back in 2011. Now, it was a very scary story, but I've healed from the trauma, and that is why I can tell this story. The story is also in my Facebook, but now I want to put it in YouTube. Now, the lessons I learned from this carjack was that when you decide to stop somewhere by the roadside and you are in the vehicle, ensure that you have closed the door and locked it. Then ensure that the window is rolled up. Another thing you should ensure is that be conscious of your environment. Then another thing I also learned is that it is good to have your car insured, and if possible comprehensive insurance, because they are the ones who repaired my vehicle after that incident. Now, the vehicle that I was carjacking is right behind me. I sold it later, and I want to thank the owner, Mr. Pius, for accepting that I use the car in this story. It is a Toyota 110 KZ. Now, another thing I want to emphasize on is that God answers prayers, and I'm a born-again Christian, and I believe that God can also pre-warn you about an incident which may happen to you, and that is exactly what happened to me. Prior to the carjacking, I had a dream, and in that dream I saw some two young men coming to me, and they had worn some hooded jackets. Then they told me that they wanted me to give them the car. They go and visit their friend in hospital. I gave them my car key and only realized that they were actually thieves, because they were strangers to me. Now, I woke up from my sleep and I told my husband, my car, some people have stolen my car. Then I told him, oh, my dreams never come true, so I left it at that. Now, on that day, it was on 24th of June 2011, and it was a Friday. I woke up and went to school. So I used this vehicle. My school is King David Kamama High School in Embu, Kenya, in Africa. Hi, the students of King David Kamama, teachers and the staff. When I finished my duties in the school, I came home. The school is 12 kilometers from Embu town. I'm in Brewery Estate, the outskirts of Embu town. So as I was coming from school and driving this vehicle, I passed by my friend's place. My friend Agnes. Agnes, how are you? I know you watch this video. Agnes was a former colleague that you were hand taught with in my former school. So I just stood near her gate and hooted, and when she came, I told her to get into the car. She got into the car and we drove towards I wanted to pass through Sunrise. So our home is near a church known as the Deliverance Church, Embu. We drove and we drove by Liberty Nursing Home, which is near Mini Inn Hotel. For a certain reason, I would have followed the route towards Mini, but since I wanted to go collecting my milk, I decided to use that shortcut from Liberty going on towards the road, which is now a tarmac. Then it was not tarmacked. So I drove, and then at the middle of that shortcut, which had no tarmac, even the main road had no tarmac, I decided to stop. And then I told my friend Agnes, since your husband is at home, let's say bye-bye here so that I can proceed. So Agnes opened the car door, the contriver's side, and she started moving outside. Then when she was just moving outside, this young man came who had a hooded jacket, and then he started pushing her. He told her, "Rudi na huko," meaning get back into the car. And then he said, namlete hizo simu zenu, and you bring your phones. Now I looked at him. I was sitting on the driver's seat, and then I saw him shaking the gun towards me. When I saw the gun, my head started racing. My hairs just stood on their head, and I started seeing as if I was seeing some video. Now, one thing I was sure of was that whatever was going to happen, I was going to cooperate. So Agnes was pushed back into the vehicle, and with the gun told her, "Ruka huko nyuma," meaning to get through the two seats, the driver's seat and co-driver's seat, and go to the front side, because the person with the gun was standing at the co-driver's door. Agnes complied and went over. Now, as I was on the co-driver's seat, now my mind was already racing. I decided to check how my door was, and as I was turning towards my window, I saw the other gangster, and he told me, "Leta funguo," meaning I give him the keys, the car keys. I just gave him the car keys because now the person who had the gun was seated right next to me. Let me tell you, viewers, it is a scaring experience. There were so many things that were going in my mind, but one thing I said was a silent prayer, and I said, "God, save us from all this." So viewers, when this other gangster asked me for the car keys, I cooperated and gave him. Then he told me to jump to the back, and remember, he's standing near my door and he wants me to go in between the seats. I squeezed myself in between the seats, and I think my shoes came out as I was trying to squeeze myself, and I sat on behind the driver's seat. Now the gangster just sat in front, and he tried to start the vehicle. He realized that it could not start because of the cutout, and then he asked me, Mama, kuja utengeneze hii kitu, referring to the cutout. I go and put out the cutout. So I told him, then you move, I come and sit there. He opened the car door, moved outside, and just stood next to the door. I squeezed myself again through the tiny space between the seats, and I sat on the driver's seat, and then I bent so that I could hit where the cutout was. Now, as I was doing that, my friend Agnes, where she was seated, she opened her door and jumped out of the car. She went screaming. Viewers, it was at about 5:30 p.m. I could see outside people going about their things, but remember now, the gangster who had the gun was already inside and they could not see him. They thought they were just people who were just doing their own things by the roadside. So Agnes ran out shouting, and then that gangster told me to jump again. I jumped at the back, but this time I sat where Agnes was seated. I could imagine these people maybe taking me to a forest and killing me. I could already see my children crying. I could see my husband crying, in my mind that is, but I was still holding a silent prayer. One thing I was sure about was that after Agnes had moved out of the vehicle, I had to do something, but I wanted God to guide me. Now, the gangsters again sat at the driver's seat, and this time round, the car started, and it started moving. And as the vehicle was moving, God spoke to me, and he told me, you have to jump out of the car and before it gets to the tarmac. The tarmac was like 1 kilometer away from where I was that time. So I started preparing myself, knowing that I was going to jump out of the car. I thought I would be better outside the vehicle than inside. Now, the vehicle reached the junction, which was to drop to one sunrise, and it started going downwards, 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. I saw a group of people coming towards the vehicle that is on the roadside. The people who are working were being given jobs to do, the ones who are known as kazi kwa vijana, a group of about 50 people. But viewers, because my vehicle was having tinted windows, those people could not see me. I could not even wave at them, but I could only see them from inside. The vehicle zoomed past them, and now the one who was driving, and remember the one with the gun was also sitting beside him, and I was at the far end behind the co-driver's seat where my friend had sat. Now I could see the lock was still up, and God has communicated to me and assured me that I will be okay. Now I was preparing for the inevitable, that was jumping out of the car. And I tell you, viewers, I was ready to take that risk. Remember, the one with the gun and was asking and asked us for our phones, and I feared that my phone will start ringing anytime. So I knew also that the tarmac was not very far, so I had to jump out just like God had instructed me. So the driver was telling me, Mama usitoroke, meaning don't try to, Mama, do not try to escape. And I told him, no, I cannot escape. I held my handbag, then I timed how I was going to get hold of the car lock, the car handle for opening, because the lock was already up, and I knew I had to push at once and jump out. Viewers, this is exactly what I did. Held on the lock, pushed the vehicle outside and threw myself outside. I hit the road, then rolled and fell by the side of the road. Now, I knew the vehicle was moving downwards, so I knew after waking up, I'll move upwards. So I collected myself. I think my leg, I was limping, my leg had been hit. Then I started running in the opposite direction. This time I was shouting like a crazy person and saying, "Whoa, thieves, they have stolen my car. They are going to turn and come and shoot me." I was speaking at the top of my voice. There are shops nearby there. So some people saw me jumping. So I went near the shops, and there was one butcher who used to sell meat to me. He called me. As I was narrating the story, one colleague came by. She was driving her pickup, and she asked me what had happened. I briefly told her. Remember, this time I had no shoes. She gave me her sandals and told me Paul, and told me to go to the police station. Now, the butcher who had called me told me, just come inside here. I have a number for a policeman we can ring so that you go and report. So I entered his butchery and we rang the police station. Then a good Samaritan was requested by the people to carry me to the police station, and we were going. I requested the good Samaritan to take me via my friend's place, Agnes, so that I could tell her that I had jumped out of the car. Now, I also took my phone. I was still having my phone in my bag, and rang my husband. My husband was working in the capital city, Nairobi, and I told him my vehicle got stolen and I have just jumped out of the car. So when I told him about my vehicle being stolen, he told me, "Your dream," he remembered the dream that I had had a week earlier. So he told me, "Don't worry, just go to the police station and report." So I passed via my friend's house. I find they were just trying to ring my husband, and I told them that I had rang him. Then Agnes and her husband accompanied me to the police station. Now, going to the police station, I wrote in the OB book about what had happened, and then they told me to go home, and they were going to follow up the matter, and if they got any news, they would call me. Now, neighbors, I was taken back home, and I found that the neighbors had gathered near my gate. They were very worried because they thought I was still in the car. Seeing me, one of my children was at home, my daughter Sarah. They were very happy with the neighbors to see me, and we just entered our compound and we went to the house. Now, I was very traumatized by the whole experience. I didn't sleep much that night, and then very early the next morning, I got a call from the police station, and the police officer told me to go to the police station because my vehicle had been recovered. I asked them where was it recovered. They told me it was in Kirinyaga police station in Kirinyaga County, and they told me to prepare and go to the police station. We go. I went to the police station. We got into the police Land Rover and went to Kirinyaga police station. Now members, going to Kenyaga police station, I saw my vehicle. I could not recognize it because it was looking, the color, it had a lot of dust on it. The wheels had already been removed. It was having one remaining wheel. It was actually lying on its belly with only one wheel. Now the police officers asked me, Mama, we really looked for you and your friend. Then I told them, I reported that I jumped out of the car, so I got that message got to you. So they told me, when we saw the shoes in the vehicle, we were worried about your whereabouts. So they told me that the vehicle had been towed from wherever it had been gotten. I needed to pay 10,000 shillings. Members, I became very upset because now my leg was already hurt, I was limping, my vehicle was sleeping on its belly, and here I was being told that I had to pay 10,000 shillings to the person who had towed the vehicle. So I told them, first of all, let me go and buy the car wheels, then we will talk about that. My husband had sent the brother to come over and help me, so we went with him to a place known as Kutus in Kirinyaga and bought the wheels, and then we came, they were fixed. Inside the vehicle, the radio cassette was missing, the side mirrors had been broken, even the driving mirror. So it was a very pathetic case. But members, I thank God that God had spared my life and answered my prayer. In fact, He answered my prayer within minutes and instructed me to jump out of the car. Before we left the police station, my husband arrived from Nairobi, and then we bargained so that we could pay about 7,000 shillings for the towing of the vehicle. And the police officers told me that the one who had towed and instructed that I leave the money with them. I gave them the money, and then we got into our car. It could at least start to the garage in Embu. Now when we got it in Embu, the following day, I went to the insurance people and they told me to have the car assessed so that the insurance could repair it for me. I thanked God that I had insured my car, comprehensive insurance, and within 1 week they were able to repair my car. Now, about 3 years later, I sold the car, and that is why I had requested the person I sold it to give it to me so that I can recount this story. The story. Viewers, I hope you liked my story, and I hope you got the tips that I told you on how to remain safe. Make sure when you are driving, do not stop by the roadside, and if you stop, take the precautionary measures I told you. And now you have known that even carjackings can occur in our small towns. They do not only occur in the cities. I hope members, you remember to subscribe. The new members, welcome. Subscribe and continue supporting me so that I can give you more content. Bye bye.